Aloha friends, welcome to the Invited Back podcast with Sabeth Kapahu. It has been a little while since we've jumped on here together to share the journey of reimagining, reinventing, and reinviting together. A lot has happened since I came on the podcast last. In fact, June, July, and August has happened. And so I'm going to do a quick recap of some lessons learned, incredible experiences, memories made. And I thought the best way to do that might just be to literally go through my calendar. That might sound boring, but in fact, this is where the real life happens. The day-to-day, the things that I'm writing down, learning, people I'm getting to meet and interact with and learn from, and it's been an incredible 3 months. So as I look at the calendar for June 2025, I see things like my daughter's swim meet over the weekend, and I got to be a pit parent there. And one thing that happened right after that meet is I got a chance to hear at a women's assembly from Lacey John, who is a former Olympic medalist in swimming. She is now in the corporate world, and she talked about leading through change, and she took lessons from the pool, and it was fun because I could relate exactly to the things she was talking about, having just been poolside with my daughter during her meet. And she talked about using the stops and the turns as opportunities for more momentum and to gain speed. And I was thinking as I was reflecting on that, how many times we think about hitting a wall as a negative experience, but in that pool, by the way, where our bodies weren't made to swim against, like vertical, and swimming in that kind of atmosphere, like that's not what our bodies were made to do. But swimmers figure out how to move through the resistance consistently and faster, and then they use that wall as an opportunity to gain momentum, and they use that turn and change of direction to their advantage. So that's how I kicked off the first weekend of June. And we had a Father's Day. June, I also had a birthday, and I had a chance to have a date night after date night with my husband because it was my birthday, and then it was his birthday, and then it was Father's Day. And so it was all this celebration and excitement around what it means when you experience something like in the first 24 hours or 48 hours, the things that you reflect on, hope for, dream about, experience, have conversations with, struggle through, are setting the pace for the year to come. And gosh, if I can say anything about that first 24, 48 hours of this new year of life, as I celebrated a birthday, and even as my husband celebrated a birthday, we are in for a journey in these next years ahead, and specifically this year. So we go through to the almost the end of June, and this is what I wrote down. Excellence is in the next 5 minutes. I read that in an email. I get Bob Berg's daily email. He and David Mann wrote The Go-Giver, a book I read again every year. And in an email that he sent out, he talked about another author that he was reading who said excellence is in the next 5 minutes. And that resonated because in that time I was thinking about our upcoming trip to Japan. We were going to leave the next week, and there was so many thoughts and dreams, but still unknown pieces of what it would look like during our time there. And what I had to remember was that excellence is in the next 5 minutes. What am I going to do right now that matters, that has potential to impact what's happening next? What am I going to choose to be excellent at? And how am I going to prioritize in the next 5 minutes? And those 5 minutes add to each other and then you get an outcome that was beyond anything we could have hoped for or imagined. Here's what's on the last section for the week of June. The jungle is dark, but it's full of diamonds. If you are walking through darkness in an area of your life, whether that be relationally, vocationally, within yourself, spiritually, may that be a glimmer of hope. The jungle is dark, but it is full of diamonds. A coworker reminded me of that, and I was so thankful. It is a quote from a book, and I can't remember what the book is right now. Someone say in the comments and tell me. Tuesday, June 24th, we arrived in Palau, my oldest daughters and I. I've posted some videos. Gosh, there's so many stories to tell from our time there. It was rich with family experiences. It was rich with getting immersed in the culture of what it is to be living day-to-day life, to be with our family. We even went to an unexpected family funeral and spent the day in the rhythms of what it looks like to honor and remember and celebrate and gather and give and be together, be present together. We took the boat to Kyangal, visited family, ate tons of fried bananas, swam off the dock at sunset, and then came back to Koror for the opening ceremony of the Pacific Mini Games. Palau was full of life because of all the countries that were represented there, and also just because of the joy that it is to be together with our family and new friends. We made a lot of new friends, which included business advocates, had a chance to meet with some leaders of the country and in organizations. I even got a chance to do a workshop, a leader development workshop. They asked me, can you do something before you leave? And it was such a lesson in saying yes and accepting the invitation and being prepared. Again, back to excellence is in the next 5 minutes. And so my daughters saw me pull out my laptop and work in the middle or in between things that we were doing together, games that we would go watch family members playing at the mini games, meals, gatherings. Mom pulled out her laptop and prepared, whether it was for the Sunday sermon that I gave at the Foursquare Church there in Palau, or for the workshops that I was holding, or for some leader development opportunities within the government. It was a full trip. And that's just June. We got home beginning of July, right into a unicorn palooza, celebrating my daughter's birthday, and beginning to think about the last summer month before school starts. We transitioned into a new school year right at the end of July, which meant a brand new school for one of my kids, and the two youngers navigating their school without their older siblings. So now we have the 4 kids in 3 different educational institutions. So much grace to all the moms and the families who are figuring it out day by day. It is so intense. There are a lot of moving parts. Take deep breaths, drink extra water, and know that you are not alone. In July, we had an incredible opportunity on the Wild Conversation podcast to host Amy Edmondson, who is a professor at Harvard Business School. You might kind of know her as the mother of psychological safety. what a gift to be in conversation with her and continuing in relationship. Another thing that happened in July at the end is I ran a half marathon. I PR'd, which was my goal. I talked to my nutritional coach and said, I am going to run against myself and do my best to beat my last half marathon time. And I did. And I made some incredible friends at the start line that by the end were strangers at the starting, friends by the finish line. And I love getting to cheer them on as we continue in this running community online. And then we'll see each other at the next starting line. And we're moving through July. This is it. One of the tops of my my other sections in July. It says, some of these are $1 million ideas, and you wouldn't misplace $1 million. What is it that you are sitting on in your heart and mind that is $1 million idea? Don't misplace those. That was a note from my writing coach who was encouraging me in my daily writing habits. I wouldn't misplace $1 million. So keep putting those thoughts somewhere in an organized fashion that I can find later. We finished off July sending my daughter to her first day in the new school on a new bus. And in total transparency, I was a hot mess, a mom heart full of big feelings that we pushed through together as a family. I had to ask for help and for prayer and to be real honest and vulnerable with the reality of all the things that I was experiencing in those days. I am learning more and more about my personal journey to vulnerability and asking for help and receiving that. So it's been so good as we all transition into a new school year for me to realize that there are just some things that it is absolutely okay to say, hey, I've got something going on. Would you be able to help me with fill in the blank? And guess what? There are so many people willing to help, and it gives them an opportunity to operate in their highest and best. I put in my first week, keep seeking. Keep seeking ways to give and receive love and service and affection and honest feedback. August has been the only month and will be, it's not done yet, but I'm wrapping up August with this podcast, the only non-travel month for the rest of the year for me. And so I was so excited to settle in after traveling abroad, after beginning a new school year, to settle into rhythms that will sustain me throughout the next 4 months as we finish off 2025 and move into 2026. So it has been a journey of getting back into the day-by-day routines from travel, and then as we shift into the new school year, as roles and responsibilities shift in my different vocational spaces, I'm learning again about what it is that I can do, will do, and need to ask for help in. We had an incredible opportunity recently, again on the Wild Conversation podcast, to interview and be with Pat Lencioni. Many of you might know him for his work of 5 dysfunctions of a team, and he recently put out the 6 types of working genius. And as I also in August began my new course for my MBA at Dusair School of Business, and I'm taking it through the College de Paris. Guess what it is? People and culture. So what an opportunity and full circle moment to bring all the conversations that I've been a part of and getting to have with people like Pat Lencioni, Amy Edmondson. We're looking into Shine's work, the visible and the invisible, and putting it into now my studies and papers and discussions with this class. It's been a lot of work, but it's been a gift and a reward to continue the conversations in these new spaces. So we wrap up August. And exhale. And remember that the reality is all we can really do is the next best thing. There are so many things that are on our lists, seen and unseen, in our hearts and in our minds, that we are working on, that we're striving towards, that we're excited about, things that we can share and things that we hold in solidarity with only one other person. Know that your highest and next best decision will be in the next 5 minutes. And you get to make that choice. You get to take ownership of it all, of your responses, of the way you get to receive and give love, of our relationship to ambiguity and not knowing what's next, but just moving forward in faith. I am here to journey with you, to remind you to reimagine the possibilities. There might be another option that you haven't thought of yet. To reinvent, to remember that you don't always have to believe what you did yesterday. That you are consistently, if you choose to, learning, growing, and reinventing. And you are not meant to do it alone. So make sure that you reinvite others along the journey. Excited for what's ahead for September. Hoping to get back to regular monthly check-ins and rhythms of podcasting. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Until next time, aloha.